Tom, thank you so much for joining us today at our virtual event.
Glad to be with you guys.
Hey,
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah, I
yeah,
can hear
we
you
got you.
okay. I was checking out. I used to be a member of the Purple Promise back in my FedEx days, so it was really neat to see you write a book with the speaking of Fords, the Ford by Fred Schmidt from over at FedEx, and now you're with Ford. We were going to talk a little bit about what's it called, the 3PL relationship, drivers recruiting, capacity of trucks, and capacity of people. So tell us a little bit about that. What does Ford do to attract those drivers that seem to be so hard to find right now?
First of all, you guys are absolutely correct. It is a challenge, and it's the challenge that's going to stay with us. One of the focus areas that I spend most time on. You guys probably look at the same stats I look at. 100,000 drivers shortage today. That number will probably double in the next 5 years. So I remember when I was with McKinsey in Atlanta 25 years ago, a colleague of mine, he talked about books, wrote a book called The War for Talent. At the time, they thought more about business people, office people. The war for talent right now is the war for frontline people. It's our dock labor, and it's most of all, it's our drivers, or what we're talking about here. So we actually, we want to make this the most desirable professional home for those drivers. Typically in the past, we had once a year a driver appreciation day. I want to make them feel, and rightfully feel, like every single day is Driver Appreciation Day. So what do we do? 2 years ago, we did a driver engagement survey. We actually, the same way we ask our employees, what matters most to you? We actually asked our drivers, what matters most to you? And 56% of them actually responded. So of 4,000 people we asked, we got more than 2,000 responses. And then we put a driver board in place. This is a group of 10 people, fleet owners and drivers, that represent the other couple thousand. And we meet with them once a quarter and say, okay, you told us predictable home times. You told us pay, not surprisingly. By the way, we had 5 increases over the last 4 years. You mentioned 2 in the last 6 months for one of our competitors, which is tremendous. We had 5 in the last 4 years.
Wow.
So driver pay is obviously on that list, predictable home times, but then even more mundane, practical things like when you call dispatch, you don't want to be on the phone waiting for 12 minutes. Those 12 minutes seem like an hour. So we then sit down with them every quarter and we say, like, how are we doing for you? How are we making this tough job that, by the way, the last 15 months got even tougher? When you talk about heroes, these guys are heroes every single day. So it got tougher over the last 15 months. And we check in with these driver representatives every 3 months, like, are we getting better for you? Are we making your job lighter? Are we getting amenities in place? Are we making those dispatch wait times shorter? And do we do creative things like swaps where you can go out and come back, which we are doing more now than we ever used to, so that they have more home time and more predictable home time. So this is a team sport between selecting the right freight, making sure the lanes make sense, having dedicated routes and less ad hoc routes. And then when you have ad hoc routes, pay them extra. We just put in place a destination surcharge for difficult places where people don't necessarily love to go to. So there's a lot of incentives that we put in place to make sure we make this the most desirable professional home for those drivers. Again, the mindset we have to put in place is these people frontline have the toughest job in our company. We need to make it lighter for them, not heavier. And that's what we're doing.
That's really good stuff, Tom. You're talking about the attraction, the recruiting, and the retaining of those drivers and doing those things. And I applaud you guys for having that surveying those people and bringing those in, because it's easy to do a survey. The difficult part is to actually react to those things and do something. And that's probably the most important thing that is there. In college football recruiting, there's a thing going on right now. And the recruit said, I was told you were making an investment in me and not just recruiting to me. Do you think that's one of the things that you really need to be looking at when you're recruiting drivers and bringing them in, especially owner-operators and small fleet owners?
Yeah, that's absolutely correct. I mean, like when we talk with them, and by the way, if I text them right now, some of them I get a text response back before we're done with this podcast here. So we're very very close connected. We need to listen with 2 ears and make sure we actually absorb what's most important to them. But yeah, when we talk about investments, so one of the coolest things that we together with them developed was a driver app where they can actually go on their smartphone and look up kind of how is my business going? How's my revenue going? Where's my next load? How am I doing this month versus last month? So in essence, they can run their own business at their fingertips. And this is the type of stuff where we say like anything we can do to make these business owners more successful. Again, whether it's making sure they got amenities when they come back to our terminal, or whether it's the simple driver app where they can at their fingertips run their business. And that's when they come back to us and say, actually, you actually are serious when you say, like, you make us more successful with our business.
Wow. So what's the response been? So you put the survey out there, you hear from the drivers, you get an idea of their needs, you put your finger on the pulse. So how do you action that, and how do you make it really, really meaningful for these drivers? You mentioned that you make it feel like you're investing in their career. Does it go beyond that? I know you're about keeping things simple, and I think especially in this space, that's important.
Yeah, there's lots of feedback loops, right? So we have a driver relations manager and Ryan Krasinski, who actually makes certain that we actually listen to them all the times. And then the nice thing is, again, they actually text me like, hey, and some of them that are not on the driver board text me, hey, we just heard that in the driver board you reviewed the dispatch wait times and they went down by 50%. We noticed that. Or they tell us, hey, we had this horrific cyber attack second half of December last year. They tell us, you guys were awesome because you were on the phone the entire time with us, making sure that we actually still got our loads, we still got our jobs. And then when it came to settlements, you basically said, like, let's just assume these guys did the same thing they did last week and pay them the same amount, right? There's things like that when you do them consistently, and this goes back to our Purple Promise Days. I'm looking at you for our joint background here. I mean, this is a people service profit, right? You put your people first, who then go above and beyond delivering exceptional service, and then profit is almost a logical consequence, right? And that people service profit sequence applies to those drivers as much or more than to any other employee that we have in our company.
Hey, Tom, we like what we're hearing. If drivers like what they're hearing and they look forward to working with you, where should we send them to?
Well, I mean, this is very simple. First of all, you can send them to me personally. Every single time I can recruit a driver, that's job number one. Retaining them is obviously a close second, or perhaps that's a co-number one, a second major. But no, seriously, we have a number of sites out. We have a recruiting team out. So we're not that hard to find. But the best thing is our best recruiting devices and talent are actually drivers who are with us today, and who pick up the phone and talk to their fellow drivers who are not with us and say, like, hey, come over here. This place really rocks.
Yeah. Hey, Tom,
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. We appreciate your time today. Thanks for joining us at the event.
Okay, glad to be with you guys. Have a great event.
Take care.
Thanks.